Good evening and welcome once again after your long summer break off. And in fact, my apologies to you and to my guests for not being able to go on air last week. Just a few gremlins crept into the system, as they do with the internet, as all of you IT buffs will know. From this point of view, I'm certainly not IT literate in that respect. So, anyway, couldn't get on last week. So, sincere apologies for that. But delighted that we're now up and running for the new season with the Monday Review Show. And as many of you know, this is where we discuss all things refereeing and referees. We don't necessarily discuss whether the player should have kicked the ball with the outside of the foot or the inside of the, nothing like that. Just refereeing incidents and all things refereeing. Now, if you'd like to make a comment to the show, you can certainly do so on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. There's a little place there you can make a comment, and you can send in your questions and suggestions, and we'd love to hear from you, and we'll do our best to answer the questions. I'm delighted once again to be joined by, I think I can call him my very good friend and colleague, ex-colleague now, who's been with me now for a couple of years, more than a couple of years, and I'm delighted to have him again. Keith Hackett, former Premier League referee, former FIFA referee, former head of the PGMOL, and the man responsible for goal line technology. Keith, sorry about last week, but thank you for joining me this week.
Yeah, well, I think we've got a busy week.
Have we what?
Yeah.
Have we what? Just a few new changes or amendments, call them what you like, to the laws of the game. And the first one, if you don't mind, we can talk about this new situation where only the captain can approach the referee.
Yeah.
Is it happening? And is it working?
Yeah, I've already seen that almost shot out the water in the 2 weeks that the Premier League has been going. The principle is to try to stop the crowding and surrounding of referees on decision making. And I think this is, if referees are going to sustain this approach, it may need a few weeks to get a balance and to get the system operating. That's the first thing. And the referee, when he's perhaps got a couple of players questioning a decision, he really ought to perhaps suggest they move away and indicate to the captain to come and see him, and get the point over that he is the point of contact in the game. And you know, the captain's got no additional rights over any other player. I want to emphasize that. But it's about facilitating a line of communication that avoids this unnecessary public spectacle of referees being physically surrounded by lots of players and looking as though they're pressurized. Now, the important thing for me is referees get into the system of operating it, use it sensibly. For those in power, i.e. the FA and the Premier League, they should be monitoring how it's being delivered on the field of play. And frankly, if they believe during the game the referee has been surrounded, perhaps I like that the referee's been lenient and want them to do something about it, but at the same time, look at the possibility of sanctioning those players that have gone against this new law change and introduction into the game. I think this is about the personality of the referee and the captain and building a working relationship prior to kickoff with that team sheet exchange, and then during the game through a communication that is professional and not amateur. And therefore, I think wait and see.
Yeah, I suppose the jury's still out on that case.
Yeah.
And again, it's up to the referee to be able to exert his authority and make sure that they don't come. And anybody who does come within touching distance, if you like, of the referee, other than the captain, should be dealt with and punished accordingly.
Absolutely.
They need to start from day one, put their foot down, and this is the way it's going to be. So it sends out a message to all and sundry that this won't be tolerated anymore, because this is the view. And it would, because it has been absolutely abused in the past. This crowding around the referee, jostling the referee. I remember many years ago with Andy Durso at United, and I have a little clip of it somewhere, photograph. You know, they literally pushed him all the way almost over to the corner flag, and he kept backtracking instead of taking out his cards. So let's hope that now the new 8-second rule, or clause, what you want to call it, giving a corner kick if they transgress. I mean, if it didn't work with the 6-second, and then it didn't work with the 8-second, and now they've brought in that they're going to give a corner kick. Surely let's talk about the corner kick itself. How can you give a corner kick when the ball is not out of play? Surely they should have given an indirect free kick from where the keeper was holding the ball.
Yeah, I think that what they've tried to do here is, and they have a right to manipulate the law because they're the lawmakers. I think what they've tried to do is to say, right, okay, an indirect free kick in the penalty area and getting players back because the goalkeeper...
Which they used to do before with the 6-second.
Yeah, well, I mean, 6 seconds... The 6-second law, which has been in up to last season, I've never seen applied.
No, nor I. 15, 20 seconds.
Yeah, so now what we've got is 8 seconds. I mean, it's very clear the possession of the ball in the hands of the goalkeeper, or the hand and in contact with the floor or a surface of the player. And at that point, the referee starts to count. When it gets to 5 seconds, his hand goes up in the air, and very clearly he indicates with his fingers the countdown to 0. And if the player exceeds 8 seconds, then a corner kick is awarded. And just a matter of point, because I was asked it last week, if it's on the right-hand side of the penalty kick area, when he's penalised, the corner kick's from the right-hand corner flag, left-hand corner flag. So that,
and if it's in the middle, then he has to make a decision.
Yeah. The reality is, I think that the lawmakers have said, right, an indirect free kick, this could happen on the goal area line and can create a lot of problems for the referee. We want to try and make it simpler. We want to penalise the offending team, and as a consequence, they're awarding a corner kick. That's the important bit. Then, of course, linked to that, the PGMOL came out with a statement saying we're going to penalise grappling, holding, pulling in the penalty area. So they might have just listened to us, and we're going to do that. Obviously, I'll wait and see the consistent approach of that, and we're going to talk about a particular decision this weekend. I can tell you that in the Burnley game last week, one referee did apply the sanction for the goalkeeper taking more than 8 seconds to release the ball. He didn't do it again. And neither did the opposing goalkeeper. So again, you know, I think you and I understand that if the law is applied and applied with firmness and accuracy and consistency, then it'll impact on the game and it'll impact on players' behaviour.
I'm waiting to see, and I hope it happens soon, that 8-second rule that the goalkeeper is penalised and that a goal comes off it.
Yeah.
That it'll
That
really
would be-
send the message home. This is what could happen if you disobey this 8-second rule. And this is all over now, Keith. This is an international level.
Yes, it's a grassroots level as well. So I've seen it actually in operation at grassroots. I've seen a few games pre-season, and now the opening games. We're into our second or third week, I think goalkeepers are aware of that particular law, and I think referees at grassroots level, as they do, will emphasise that to try and avoid a problem out on the field of play by saying, this is the new law, understand it, I'm going to apply it. Full stop.
Super duper. Now, Man United's, well, let's go with the penalty first, where Bruno Fernandes claims that he was put off in some way, and that's the reason he missed the goal, because the referee briefly touched it, bumped him. He did make contact, yes, absolutely, but not to any great extent. And it's all over the papers today, and it's on TV, where he's blaming the referee for almost knocking him out of his way of thinking. I'm sure there are many Man United fans out there screaming at this show now and saying, what was this and what was that? But look, it was so slight. Could that really put you off? It's not like a golfer going to take a putt or tennis or something like that. Somebody shouts and screams. That's a different kind of put off. I know maybe the analogy is not good, but could that actually, having touched him, did that take away his magic spell to score? Because he blasted
it. There is a lot of mileage in the media today over that particular incident.
Keith, to say that papers won't refuse ink, so
Yeah, so it is. This particular incident and comment is wholly avoidable if the referee follows a very simple process. I'm outside the area running in. I've awarded a penalty kick. I move towards the penalty mark to reinforce. I don't stand over it, but I've done it. I then deal with any dissent that comes from that penalty kick award, which you will get naturally. Then I'm going to make certain the ball is positioned correctly. I've identified the kicker to everybody. I'm expecting the ball to be placed because there's nonsense going.
Oh, we seem to have lost Keith there. I don't know what happened there. Maybe he'll come back to me. Let me see. Let me see. I don't know. I'm just going to put this up for a few seconds. No, not that one. Maybe this one here. And I'm just going to give Keith a quick call, and I might have to go in again. Yeah, I don't know.
When I'm waiting, I'm here.
Yeah, I've got you now, Keith. I just got to take this thing off the screen. Where is it now? Oh my goodness, where is it? There we go. Right. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, good to have you back.
My point is this, that I think it's important that referees should go through a process, award the penalty kick, deal with any dissent, make certain that the kicker is identified, ball on the penalty mark, goalkeeper on the line, no encroachment potential, just manage that, then signal for the kick to be taken. The one thing that you want to avoid here is really any contact with the kicker. So it's avoidable, but it happened, and it becomes a nonsense, and it's a talking point in a game that had more talking points that you wouldn't want to have. I don't think this was Chris Kavanaugh's best game. So let us look at that first controversial incident where you had a double foul.
Right.
You had Bassi foul Mount. There's no question that the Manchester United player was fouled equally at the same time, or I would suggest evidence shows on video before that, but I'm talking only a few seconds. There is a foul by Manchester United's Luke Shaw on Muniz. So the referee's got a choice. You've got two fouls at the same time. He's done nothing. So the first question is, why does VAR come in? So VAR comes in because he sees that holding offence that is very clear that's taking place. But he's not actually given the full picture, because really, instead of the award of a penalty kick, it should actually be an award of a free kick to the defending team. The video shows that. And I've listened to explanations today, and the former referees, and I cannot believe that they are suggesting that the foul by Mount, the foul by Luke Shaw of Manchester United was not a foul, and it did happen first. So that's that first point. And I really think if we're going to make a decision of that nature and the referee's going to go to the VAR, we need to build in time and accuracy with the outcome, not rush it. And the usual case here is that the referee is being influenced by the VAR, and for me, taking the easy decision. So I'm quite clear, if that first foul by Luke Shaw had not taken place, the penalty kick is the correct decision. But sadly, you can't ignore the foul that's been committed. And the first foul, albeit in seconds apart, and just concentrate on one of the two incidents and dismiss the other as saying it's not a foul. He's got hold of him. I worry about current, if you like, advice to referees in areas of contact, upper body contact, because they're looking for impact. In this same game, we had a goal scored by Manchester United. I've nothing against Manchester United.
No. But these things happened, and I know there are Man United fans perhaps saying, "Well, why don't you talk about some other team?" And we will, and we do.
We will.
But these are major incidents, and
yeah. Well, I mean, a penalty kick was awarded. It was missed, and we hear the captain of Manchester United giving a reason why he missed it. Understand that. But here we've now got a penalty kick where there's a definite two-handed push on the opponent. And what we're getting people saying there's no impact, there's no consequence, there's no strength. Can I just remind people about the laws of the game? Because it's dead simple. Pushes an opponent Law 12, direct free kick, is an offence. It doesn't talk in the laws of the game about the strength of that push, the impact that that push might have on an opponent. It says a push. Now, here you have, for young referees coming forward, where you've got someone who's laying his hands on an opponent with a bent arm and then straightens that arm, that's a push. And this is a push. No intervention by VAR, goal allowed to stand.
But Keith, wasn't it always sort of a principle that when a goal was scored, the VAR would come in anyway and just give it a clean bill of health, in other words, to say there was nothing wrong. And if they'd come in this instance, they would have seen that there was a clear push and it should have been a foul against the player who scored. But they didn't.
You know, well, let's get to the first point. The first clear point for me is, how could the referee not see that as a push? How did he fail to see that? How did he fail to give an award of a choking off that particular goal? I don't believe that it was. It's the back end of the post. It's very clear. The referee's in a good position. He's seen it, but determined that there's no impact on the push. But there is. He's pushed the player out of the way.
He did.
And
in order to get up to head it, yeah.
I go, how can you put yourself in jail not applying the law correctly? How can VAR see that this is not a clear and obvious error? So for me, a very indifferent performance by this referee.
Yeah,
I'll make it quite clear. Having been the boss of the PGMOL, I would be giving that guy would have received a phone call from me today.
And he wouldn't have liked that phone call.
He would not have liked that phone call.
So just to remind you,
be told very clearly, have a week off because next week you're not refereeing.
Just a reminder, you are watching the Monday Review Show. We go live every Monday night, 8 p.m. on facebook.com/Hanging Judge Ref. And you're more than welcome to send in your comments or your thoughts or questions, for that matter, to either Keith or myself or both. Keith, the grappling and the pulling and the pushing and the wrestling that's still going on in the penalty area at either corner kicks or free kicks. I mean, surely they have to do something about that.
Well, I can only tell you what I would have done. I set the target at the beginning of the season. I make that point very clear to all the managers and all the clubs and the fan groups and the media. This is what we're going to do. Week 1, I'll look at every game very closely. Have I had any incidents that are unacceptable and outside the criteria that we have set in holding, pulling, and grappling? I would bring those referees together in a room, show those clips, have a discussion, have a debate, and reduce the width of tolerance some referees have and others who do not. Because what you want is consistency. And you'll only get that through leadership and direction by standing there in front of them and saying, this is the type of offence that should be punished. This is the one where I applaud you for taking action. And that is to be done over weeks. You don't allow the individual coach of that referee to determine through dialogue in the dressing room or a phone call afterwards to make the bar that the PGMOL is setting. because he can flex it. He can say to the referee, I saw it on one occasion. I'm not too fussed. You know, this is how you break down the consistency across the group. You have to face the group on a regular basis. You have to discuss incidents openly, sometimes challenging for the individual referee, as it would be for Chris Kavanagh talking about those incidents, rather than going out in the media trying to defend the referee, suggesting that, you know, the penalty was the right decision, when, you know, I think most people would say, look, that was a foul, and do it. And the same way you do that with handball, because last week we had the Everton player penalised for handball when his hand and arm was down by his side. It hit his arm, there's no question. He began to lean forward after the ball had struck. I got a photograph of that. So a penalty kick was awarded incorrectly. So this week, we have in the Everton game, again, an Everton player adjudged to have handled the ball. The player is spinning. He's trying to get out of his way. The body shape is natural. I don't think it's unnatural when you've got movement. But the crux for me, that this is not a penalty kick, is the distance of probably at most 2 meters from when the ball was kicked and it struck the defender. And, you know, you have to take that into account in terms of the process of determining whether it's deliberate handball. I didn't see the hand to ball movement. I didn't see that as a deliberate offence. A penalty kick was awarded, as it was last week. I have reservations and concerns about that. I know what a body shape bigger is. I know that moving hand to ball is very clear, and therefore I have an understanding of handball, what is and what is not an offence. And I'm not playing God here. I'm actually saying be consistent across the group of referees so that you get, on balance, a consistent approach to handball during the game.
Do you think some referees maybe chicken out and just don't want to make that difficult decision? That's very hard to answer, perhaps, because you really don't know. But it does appear that way sometimes, because this pulling and dragging, and it's impossible not to see the amount of pushing and shoving that's going on. And I think if the referees were a lot more black and white about it, it's either a free kick to the defending team or it's a penalty kick to the attacker. And I think if they were more strict on that, I think we would have an awful lot less. But human nature being what it is, people will continue doing things once they're getting away with it, and they'll push the boundaries back all the time.
Yeah. And this is why I think quality coaching, quality leadership and direction from Howard Webb, so that on field, you know, you deal with matters off the field to make certain on field you get the decision making right. But I'm going to say at this moment in time, and I've heard this from other colleagues, past referees, the standard of officiating, you know, we've got the best league in the world. We've got the best players in the world. We've got the best managers in the world. We have not got the best referees in the world.
Yeah.
So the way I'm looking at this is, if you don't get to grips with being tougher in terms of the management process and recognize and admit that errors are across the board with a number of referees, then what you've got is a holiday camp and not a unit that's actually delivering the performances you require. We have the capacity. We have the capability. I mean, I see some, you know, I mean, I've seen some really good officiating. I was at Stocksbridge Park Steels versus Warrington in the Northern Premier League division on Saturday. And sadly, I don't have the referee's name, but what I can tell you is this. The referee and his 2 assistant referees were absolutely outstanding. And I waited at the entrance to the dressing rooms, the tunnel, if you like, at Stocksbridge Park Steels, to compliment him on his performance. Because, you know, there are referees out there that are capable. I don't know who's spoiling them when they get to the top level, but the reality is we've got to see those referees coming through. And I think the FA, in fairness, I've been critical of the FA. I think the FA at the moment are doing some terrific work in training and educating referees and getting to a pretty good standard, not across the board, but some outstanding individuals. I just think that if I was the boss of the Premier League, I would be unhappy with the standard of officiating. I would be unhappy with the platitudes, and I don't like using the word dishonesty. But if you're trying to explain away errors, then I really get concerned. You know, I read an article by Graham Scott in the Daily Telegraph today, and I listened to Dermot Gallagher on Ref Watch today, and I'm like being questioned in the case of Dermot by a former Jay Boythroyd, a former player, asking the question. You know, because this weekend we also saw the Manchester City goalkeeper come out of his area, absolutely with his knee high, in a dangerous position, clatter his opponent, and then deliberately handle the ball.
Yeah.
Outside the penalty area. That is a red card offence. And I defy any referee to defend it. But the player stayed on the field. Now, you know, how many seasons do we talk about the same things?
Yeah, indeed.
So the point I'm trying to make is this. If we cannot get the improvements of officials across the board, and look, I watched Gerard Gillett referee the Arsenal game, and I thought he was outstanding. I thought he had a really, really good game. I thought last week I was going to come onto your show and praise the same referee for his performance last week. So rightly, he's had 2 games on the bounce, fully deserved, delivered. So there are referees within that group who are capable of delivering the laws of the game accurately. But I think we're at a point now where we need to be bringing in the likes of L'Exeter, the French referee, and other European referees, so that not only have we got the top teams, the top managers, the top players, we need the top referees.
Oh, that will raise a few hackles with English refereeing, Keith, if you start bringing in outside referees. But we're way over the time, and thank you very much again, Keith, for joining me. And thank you out there for also joining me. Lots of comments to go through, but we'll do them maybe next week. Until next week, same time, same place, 8 o'clock. Bye-bye for now. And thanks.
Bye.